Jack and Jill on WNUR FM Evanston, Chicago.
Anyway, you tuned into the Jack and Jill radio show, 89.3.
Hey, you know what? I was reading this article today that our awesome friend Joy wrote in regards to the conceal and carry laws in the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. And I was reading it earlier, and I was thinking a lot about what she was saying. And I was kind of wondering, like, what you and what some of our listeners think about that, about the potential of being able to carry a concealed weapon here in the city of Chicago.
Ooh, wow.
What do you think?
You just tossing that out there, huh?
I'm
like
just
that,
tossing
huh?
it out there.
Wow, we going 6 feet deep on this. All right, literally. Well, I think, get it? Wow. I think there should be sensible gun laws for your locale. I mean, the same gun laws that apply in the mountains of Tennessee probably don't apply to the south side of Chicago. You can't get everybody guns down there and let everybody walk around with guns on their hips like, it's the Wild West. I just think
that's why they say conceal.
Bananas. It's bananas. Or, I mean, yeah, but you know how people are. Black folks too. We'll be walking around here, looking like Ice Cube videos and stuff. Mob Deep videos and stuff, man, up here.
Well, yeah, but see, here's my thing about it. The people who don't really care about the laws, the criminals, already are carrying guns. They don't care about the law not saying that it's okay for them to carry a gun. So it's the upstanding citizens who are out there unarmed. It's not the criminals. So in my mind, I think that if there were other people who could legally carry guns, that maybe some things might be different. I'm sure that maybe someone who potentially wants to carjack another person might think about it a little bit more if they knew that potentially the person that they're attempting to carjack could open the door and stick the end of a gun up their nostril and say, yeah, I don't think so, I'm not getting out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to rob you now. Give me all your stuff. I think that, might cause them to have a little more pause about, doing things like that. Or, of course, it could go the other way as well. It could make people, a lot more aggressive. But I don't know.
You know what? Let me give you a quick scenario without I would hope that our viewers our listeners would appreciate this. Interesting thing. Think about the shooting that happened in that movie theater in Colorado earlier this year, right? Now, assuming everybody was armed, assuming everybody had something, a little piece in their thing, in a dark, crowded theater, you see somebody shooting a gun, you just gonna start pulling out your gun and start shooting. What if 30 other people sitting in that theater pull out their gun and start shooting? What do you think gonna happen?
Well,
and how do you know who's the bad guy after a while? How you just see bullets flying, you see somebody with a gun out pointing, you hear something pew, pew, around you, you think they might be shooting at you. They might be trying to shoot at somebody else. All of a sudden, you shooting at them.
Do you think that maybe the person who went in there with the gun maybe would have thought about it a little bit more if he knew that everybody else in there could potentially have a gun too?
As crazy as he was, no. He wasn't thinking nothing. It doesn't matter if the United States Army was sitting up in there. He was crazy. He wanted to shoot up some people. He was mad at the world. And he figured, I'm gonna go see Jesus. I'm gonna take a couple people with me, and that's how he was. And that's we can't ever stop all crazy like that. It's gonna happen in a free society. That's the trade-off that we take. Which is we're allowed to walk around freely and without search and seizure and people have stuff on them, man. Somebody could walk right up in here, mow down this whole thing right now. You know what I mean? So
true. I mean, but that really that's part of my point, in that the people who are out there looking to do harm to other people don't care about the fact that it's illegal for them to be walking around with this gun. So it's the other people that are out there that are the ones that are going to be hurt most of the time. Now, do I think that it would have been a good idea for everybody in the theater to pull out their guns and start shooting? No. But if there had been, one person who was close to him who knew that it was him that was shooting, who then shot him, potentially he could have saved other people's lives.
That's and I understand. I probably might have been making the worst case scenario, but that sounds like the best case scenario. I think our examples meet somewhere more in the middle. I think the confusion in a dark room, in a dark theater. This is a dark theater with a movie playing. All of a sudden, you start seeing, the fire from the end of a barrel going off. You pull out your gun. You don't know. It's dark. Who you shooting? You got a good shot? Are you a trained whatever? Or are you just somebody that's allowed to carry a gun because you're 18 or 21? Now you sitting up in there.
That's the problem. Those are the people who already have guns.
Well, I mean, the crazies and the thugs, they know they got guns. I get that. But, it's if you broaden the argument out, you look at other civilized countries. Britain has 20, 30 handgun deaths a year. We have that a day. More than that.
What are the gun laws like in Britain? Because I'm not familiar with that.
Gun laws, you're not allowed to possess a gun in Britain. It's illegal to possess a gun. Unless you're the police, special service, something like that. Otherwise, no, you can't. Everybody can't walk around with guns and shoot up stuff. You can get hunting licenses and that kind of thing. But as far as the general public, just, like us, like you can, like over here in the States, you can just walk in. There's gun shops, particularly in the South and Texas. I know, I've seen these rows of stores, gun shops. You just walk in, it's like 7-Eleven. Pick out a gun. And until recent memory, there was no background checks. They just walk in, buy a gun, then go shoot somebody.
So you're saying that you wouldn't, even if you were allowed to do so, if it wasn't illegal, that you would not want to carry a gun yourself?
No, I wouldn't want to carry a gun. First off, when are you ever completely safe? And if something jump off, like if somebody jump up at a movie theater and start shooting, hopefully he ain't shooting at you or in your area. Otherwise, you might not get a chance to get to that gun. That's what happens. Well,
I mean, in a movie theater, yeah. I mean, in a situation like that. But like, in my example, where somebody, potentially tries to carjack you, once you pull out the gun and say, I'm not getting out of my car, I think things would go, much differently if you have something to protect yourself as well, as opposed to just the person pointing a gun at you.
Well, yeah, I understand your point, and it's to a certain point. I think it matters. Would the response be the same, say, from that lives in Inglewood, as somebody who lives in, suburbs?
Okay, so I just want to go on record saying that Jack was the person who mentioned that particular neighborhood, and so if there's anybody out there who's listening to hate mail because of that, because of any assumed potential stereotyping that may have been,
I stayed in Inglewood for a while. Hey man, I got
taken from that. That it really came from him. It had nothing to do with me at all.
Wow, no, wait a minute. I stayed at Inglewood for a minute, man. For a hot second. It's all good. I never loved, but I'm just saying, it's a rough part of town. It's not for the meek. Only the strong survive in Inglewood. I think that's fair to say. So it might be a little different, when you have, an area that's got a lot of gangs, crime and problems, that kind of thing. You might want to get the guns off the street. I think stricter gun laws, in urban settings, I wouldn't be that mad. Now, would I say completely take away guns? No, but probably, 3-day waiting period, would suffice.
Well, that would work, check. Provided that those people were getting guns legally, which they're not.
Oh, well,
so none of those laws are actually going to affect any of those people.
I see your point, and that's baked into the equation.
Gang members aren't walking in like, so I want to get this gun, and how do I fill out this application? Because can I bring my parole officer in to vouch for me, that I'm an upstanding citizen? Yeah, those people already have them, so I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking about the people who,
I see your point. Jackie, you listen to the Jack and Jill radio show, WNUR 89.3. I see your point, and I guess, where I'm almost, like we're arguing to agree at some point. Because,
no argument.
Yeah, no, but what I'm getting at is I see your point. I just think that in urban settings where there's a lot of crime and a lot of intractable problems that go along with urban settings. I think gun laws should be re-examined. I just don't think it should be, everybody should be able to carry a gun. It's crazy enough as it is. The criminals are still going to get their guns. I get that. And so that's baked into the equation. But I just think that there should be something, because our gun culture is killing us. It's, people think that, they watch the movies and people die and then see them at the end of the credits, the end credits bound at the end of the show, and, think that happens in real life for some reason, because people just shoot each other for no reason. I don't understand that.
Well, that goes to a much, much deeper issue, because,
sure.
there's just no respect for human life these days.
Right.
But I think a lot of that is because people tend to not really care as much about themselves. So why would you care about another person when you don't really really give a damn about your own life?
This is true. I wouldn't argue with that.
there's that aspect which is separate from this.
No, great points all. Great points all.
I'm so glad you approve.
Well, I have a contrary opinion to some degree. I don't think I'm that far from where you're at.
Jack
actually.
and Jill on WNUR FM Evanston, Chicago.